It's 5 o'clock, and today is the 20th of January 2025, and we have a regular town council meeting. So welcome to all those who are in the gallery, and we have a call to order, and we will do a land acknowledgement. The town of Cardston acknowledges that we are located on traditional Blackfoot Confederacy territory. Councillors, you have an agenda, and it's fairly lengthy. Councillor Burton?
I move that we adopt the agenda of January 28th as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. We note that Councillor Granger is on Zoom with us, and Councillor Kenley will be there shortly after. So we'll be all there. So we have a delegation, Brad Hove. If you like to come, I'm so sorry, the lectern is right on the front of my nose.
Mike. Oh, you sure do. It's a lot.
Perfect. Great.
All right, go ahead, please.
Okay. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for taking the time to hear from me today. My name is Brad Hove, and I've been a resident of Cardston for 3 years. And I'm here to present a proposal on behalf of Wind Track and Field Club for the construction of a new long jump and triple jump pit and the placement of a 20-foot sea can in Lions Park. Wind Track and Field Club was established by Dave McLaren in 2023 as a non-profit organization in Cardston and is a certified club with Athletics Alberta, including nationally certified coaches with Athletics Canada. Our goal is to enhance physical fitness in the area, providing a fun, professional, and progressive training program in spring, summer, and fall for all ages, and give additional opportunities for athletes to compete in national and international competitions. Our program works collaboratively with junior high coach Jesse Dobson and high school coach Greg Salmon to ensure any school-age children who may be interested have opportunities to train, compete, or just simply improve their physical fitness or cross-train for other sports. Last year we had 85 athletes training with the program. Some of our successes included Hannah Pilling qualifying for Olympic trials in the 3,000-meter steeplechase, Peyton Pilling winning the provincial high school junior division for most points and placing 5th in the 2,000-meter steeplechase, and 13th in the 3,000-meter events at the Youth National Championships. Tristan Levitt placing 13th in the 300-meter dash at Youth National Championships for U16. Grayson Fox winning the U17 boys individual aggregate gold medal for South Zone, and Russell Common placing 25th at provincials in long jump and 9th in 300-meter open hurdles. Regardless of these successes, the athletes still have inadequate training facilities and equipment. Gopher holes on the track increase the risk of ankle sprains, and the current long and triple jump pits have caused injury from improper and hardened sand. Currently, athletes have to travel to Raymond to use their jumping pits or wait until competitions before being able to jump. This lack of equipment has hindered athletes' progress, such as Watson Levitt, who missed qualifying for provincials and nationals by a few inches, despite only being able to use the pit during competitions. Having the pit inside the track also limits space for the football team, including limiting bench space during games and increasing wear and tear on the football field. In addition, the high school doesn't have a high jump mat, and younger club athletes currently use mattresses as high jump mats to land on, which has to be carried back and forth from coaches' places every practice, including other equipment like medicine balls, javelins, shot puts, and hurdles. Currently, our tire poles and the high school shot puts are stored in the football shed. The hurdles are in the high school gym equipment room and school shop, and if a high jump mat was to be purchased, there would be no place for storage. Wind Track and Field Club has recently applied for and been awarded a grant from the Office of the Honourable Joseph Scow from the province of Alberta. These funds are to be used for the track and field equipment, including proper sand for the pit, hurdles, high jump mat, javelins, shot puts, medicine balls, etc. A sea can is required to store the equipment, and will be purchased using club funds. We are proposing to place the C-can in the southwest corner by the track. The C-can will prevent club and school coaches and teachers from hauling equipment from their home or the school to the track every practice. Club parents are willing to volunteer their time, skills, and heavy equipment to help ensure the proper and safe construction of the new long and triple jump pit this spring, including building a foundation, proper drainage, and hauling the sand. The two 45-meter runways will not be purchased this year, but current thoughts are to use a roll-out rubber runway to be stored in the C-can during the winter and to ensure no interference with winter tobogganing. Sand will be purchased using grant funds. Maintenance of the pit will be the responsibility of the club. If approved, a pit will be built in the northwest corner of the track. All we request of the town is to haul the ground dirt away from the new pit after digging, and the remediation of the old pits, including removal of the runways and pits and replacement with sod, giving the space back to football and soccer athletes. Approval of these proposals will ensure the sustainability of the sport and track and field in Cardston, and also allow the town to continue to be recognized on the provincial and national stage, including opening up opportunities for post-secondary athletic scholarships. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very
Any
much
questions?
for that presentation. We're always very excited when somebody does a presentation that is there to benefit our youth. It's always something that we look upon with much interest. The C-can, as you know, we have a bylaw that kind of doesn't really fit that, but there's something that we understand the need of in order to store all your equipment. Yeah. So that is something that we as a council will discuss in order to see how we can accommodate a change that could be beneficial to your club. That is something we will do. And if there are questions from council, go ahead, Councillor Brown, Councillor Jensen.
I love hearing programs like this. I think it's fantastic. Sorry, when you say the new one, you're wanting to be in the northwest corner?
Yeah.
So, and then you're wanting the C-can close to it?
No, the C-can will be closer to where the fence is right now. There's pine trees.
Yes.
We're usually in the corner, and it'll be behind the pine trees, not to interfere with football.
Okay.
And then the long jump pit will be on the other end, so then when you're running, the wind is on your back, and it just allows for higher
You
jumps.
never have wind.
So,
And so my other
Practice
question,
the other way.
and so then my other question is, so Westwind School Division, I understand you're not a program that's run through them. What are they doing for you? Have they put any funds towards this or helped with this at all?
they have some equipment. They charge, I think it's about $70 per athlete, or $40 to $70 for the athletes to run with the school program. Okay. And they have a few shot puts, and the junior high has a high jump mat, so they help some of the high school kids right now go over the junior high once a year to jump. Okay. But outside of just providing a coach to help with coaching and equipment, no funds have been allotted yet.
And then final question is, have you reached out to the county? Just because half of the athletes that you just listed are from the county. Yeah, more than half are from the county. And so I'm just wondering if you're pitching with us, are you then going to pitch with them with any requests?
That wasn't the plan. It's just the proposal was to go in front of the town, and we could absolutely see what they are willing to, just because the pit was going to be on town property, so we're pitching here. But if there's opportunity for other help in any way, then yeah, we could do that as well.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councillor Jensen.
Okay, so you said that it's the northwest corner, so
Yeah.
is that that won't interfere with people tobogganing down the hill or anything?
No,
then?
there's a pole there right now, and it's basically the longer grass. It's kind of in the corner, and then where the toboggans are, it's probably about 10 feet from the nearest tobogganer, and then the runway would be basically 45 meters across where the tobogganers are, but that'll either be a rollout runway, or if there is a runway, it's built underground and it's usually shale or rubber, that would just still be flat with the ground.
Okay, you also said that you're going to cover the sandpit with a tarp. How are you going to keep that from being vandalized?
Or end up in Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Or blow away?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So some towns bury half the tarp, and then so it's just a cover over, or they roll up the tarp when it's being used and then roll it back over, and then there's a plastic covering you can use to also put on top of it. When you're building it, you can just have
So it can't be
a cover.
slashed with a knife or whatever? Or?
yeah. There's different opportunities to
Okay,
just
good.
secure the tarp.
Yeah, I'm great with sports. I think the more people are out moving around, I think it's a great idea.
Councillor Burton, Councillor Court, and Councillor Granger.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
So 3 questions. One, similar to Councillor Brown's, the old pits, and I understand that the town owns that, but the football field, and it's really used by the school primarily. So I thought, they may be interested, since they're the ones that are recapturing where the old pits were.
Yeah.
They would be interested in helping the cost of reclaiming those. So you're saying you haven't approached them about any of that?
The school?
School.
You're talking about? Yeah, we're in collaboration with the school in this proposal. Yeah, so with the
Because
facilities
I would just suggest that you may canvass with them that they would help reclaim that area.
Okay.
Secondly, 20 feet of secan can disappear awfully fast. So are you sure that that's enough? Because it's, they come in 20 foot, 40 foot, 10s, all those configurations, and it would be a shame if you came to us for 20 feet, you needed 30 feet, and you're right back here. So
Yeah.
just
20 feet gets us basically the bare minimum of equipment. If we do expand, then, yeah, there might be another proposal for another same size secan. It's just funds right now don't cover a 40-foot secan, so we're just looking into.
you haven't been to the county yet, so you don't know the answer to the question.
Exactly right.
So my third point is about the county. So my experience with secans is if you're going in and out of them often, you can track in mud and grass and all the rest of it. And you may be well advised to put washed gravel in front of it. And that might be something that the county could say, we've got our gravel pits. Now, that's not washed gravel. But anyway, just in your budget, maybe if you had some washed gravel just in front of it, or a bit of a cement pad or something, it can quickly become a disaster. This is my experience if you're in and out a lot.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Court?
Yeah, I'll let you guys worry about the details on all that stuff, but I taught over at that school for a lot of years, and I taught phys ed classes down there. Those pits should have been gone 30 years ago. So I commend you for getting them moved. They need to be gone. I really believe what you were saying, that the high school football team might be a source of muscle to move stuff around and get those pits out of there. I'm 100% for this. Get 2 secans in there if you need to. I just think it needs to be done, and you're running a very active track and field club, and I like that, so I'm 100% behind what you're offering.
Thank you. Councillor Granger?
Yeah, I too think this is a great idea, something worthwhile, something worth supporting. A question on the secan, one of the concerns is those can be pretty stark looking. Just wondered if you had considered trying to make them a little prettier by painting them or putting some kind of a design or your logo on it to try and aesthetically make them a little easier to look at.
Yeah, we discussed, when we were purchasing it, we looked at different options. Used ones are obviously cheaper, but they come with a lot of rust. So the one in the handout today, there's a picture of which one we're proposing to purchase, and it's cream or white color.
And that's a once used, right? That's what those are called?
Yeah, once used, and we will put, so the funding we got from the provincial government was kids sport or kids play
Kids sport.
Yeah, kids sports. So we would put like sponsored by Joseph Scow or something about that program, and then maybe put some high school logos on it. I work with the school about like Cougars logos. Wind Track and Field has a logo, but working with artists and local painters to make it more appealing for sure. It's just, right now we didn't identify it in our funds, but it definitely would be a project through the summer.
That's
you
good. You
very
could
much.
put supported by the town of Cardston, wouldn't hurt
Yeah.
either. And
Absolutely.
I agree with Councillor Court. If you got the money, go with a 30 or a 40-foot can if you can, because I don't think the slightly longer one is going to change our view of it. I think we're pretty well in support of what you're talking about, and we can we can handle having a sea can down there.
Thank you very much for your presentation and all the best.
Thank you.
We'll take care of the Zican issue.
I'll talk to you after the second week of February, because this will be back on the agenda for discussion at the next meeting, and then I'll talk to you right after. Okay.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, councillors, we're going to go to item 4, adoptions of minutes of the January 14th meeting.
Yeah, I make a motion to accept the minutes from the January 14th, 2025 council meeting.
Okay. Any questions, corrections? All in favor? Thank you very much. All right. Under 6, we need a motion to accept the Electrical Code of Conduct Compliance Report 2024. Councillor Kenley?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the 2024 Annual Code of Conduct Compliance Report.
Thank you. As you could see, there was no complaints in that whole year. All in favor? Thank you. All right, under 6B, Jeff might give us a little bit of his opinion on some upcoming meetings.
Yeah,
with
and
council.
I'll already say the February 4th meeting, I mistook, I was mistaken in Councillor Brown's itinerary and the mayor's. I had you a month ahead when you were in Edmonton. And so this may be a non-issue for the February 4th meeting. I know Councillor Kenley is away, but if no one else is away, then business as usual, unless any of you know that you're going to be away. Okay, so that one's probably fine. And then I just wanted to mention April, our second meeting. That's the Tuesday after the Easter Monday. Many people might go away for that. Kids are out of school. Maybe your kids are home. That is a month with 5 Tuesdays as well. So if that looks to be a time that would be in conflict for you, you may want to look at moving that to the 5th Tuesday, canceling it or moving it to the 5th Tuesday. You would have the option.
Which would be the 29th.
Yeah, correct.
Mayor, I will not be here on the 22nd. I'll be in Florida. So if that makes
All
sense. I will be here on the 29th, however.
Let's just move it.
Yeah, I would say let's move it. It'll be a safer move for us all.
So move the 1st to the 29th?
No,
The 22nd
second
to the 29th. So if so, council, just a resolution for that very thing to move,
Right.
so the motion should cancel the 22nd meeting and to have a meeting on the 29th.
Okay, Councillor Court, you want to
I will
go
make a
there?
motion to cancel the April 22nd, 2025 meeting and hold it on the 29th of April, 2025.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you very much. All right.
Sorry, just to add, I am going to be gone on the 4th, so I won't be able to conduct that meeting.
Yeah, I will chair it for you, Councillor. You're safe.
Don't laugh at me. I'm not trying to get out of it.
All right, Jeff, maybe you want to talk about this 6C, the JUPA. I must say to start with that this document is pretty comprehensive. Oh my. So,
Yeah, this has been a project. I'm encouraged about the JUPA. I've had really good meetings. Last Thursday, all the communities in Westwind School Division CAOs and the superintendent and administrative staff for Westwind all met together to go over some of the points of it. I also met with Mr. Duluth from the Franco-Sud on
couple of days ago.
Yeah, it was on Friday, I believe. We met Friday afternoon, so he's getting me a couple of comments, but I think we're getting close. But I just wanted to go over a couple of things with you as council to get your feedback before we start to nail down a couple of these pieces. So again, just as a reminder, the Joint Use Planning Agreement is focusing on two things. One is, how is the municipality planning for future schools? So that's one component. The other component is, how are we sharing resources so that we're not seeking the province to fund redundant resources? How are we working together as best as we can? And so with those two things in mind, these things can get really comprehensive. I looked at the one that Airdrie did with their school division, and given the growth in Airdrie and the development there, it's so complicated on the development side. And I didn't want to go down that road at all, and neither did the school division. We are in a reasonably fortunate position in Cardston when we look at Westwind, is when you look at our elementary and our junior high, they have enough land on site to build another school and then decommission the old one and clean it up and get their green space back. And so the high school is our major point of concern for future lands, but their other two schools have really good space. In fact, you might argue that the elementary school would have enough room for both. You know, they have pretty good space. So one of the tenets of this and changes in the Act is, for example, right now, Westwind owns all their land outright. They're on title. But going forward, we would give the lands to the school division, but it would remain as school reserve, and then when it was no longer considered to be of use to the school, the municipality would take it back, is how they're trying to arrange that now.
It's called a reversion.
Yeah. So that's being arranged. And so in the JUPA I uploaded, I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that we've worked through for a couple of reasons. One is simplicity of managing the agreement. We were trying not to make that terribly complicated. And two is to make sure that the key points are in there and that the school division has confidence that the municipalities are planning for the future. And the municipalities, frankly, have confidence that all of us regionally are planning together. So we're all putting money aside together, and it isn't going to be the burden of just one municipality. A couple of things, and I'm just going to scroll through this fairly quickly because it is, 34 pages long. Hold on, I had a couple of things here. We created a couple of definitions. What we were trying to be careful of is when we first contemplated this, we were struggling to delineate between municipal group users, school group users, and then community group users. So our initial draft only said, well, if they're sanctioned by the school, then that's a school group, and then everything else is a municipal group. And municipalities, we pushed back a little and said, look, if you have someone that wants to rent the high school for champs or for a basketball clinic, they don't have to be a municipal group. I don't need to take ownership of them and possession of them and liability for them. So we created a third definition of community group, which was groups that were neither sponsored by the town nor the school. And we just essentially said, we're not going to put anything in here about them. They just deal with the town or the school depending on what resources they need. And you charge them according to your policy of the day. So we tried to simplify that. That's been a point of a lot of discussion with the school before when it gets into liabilities and insurance and those kind of things is everything that isn't school a town group? And the challenge is we don't even know many of those groups. And many of those groups that rent the schools in particular are private interests. They're not a community interest at all. And so we split that out. All parties were in agreement with that, by the way. The other thing we started with, and we removed this week, is it used to have a requirement that all of the council of the municipality and all of the school board would meet annually. And again, in administering this, what I requested is if we remove that, we have a governing committee of 2 councillors of the town, 2 councillors of the school board, the superintendent, the CAO, and we meet annually. But there's also an operating committee that's simply just administration that will meet annually too, and will prepare things for the governing committee. And just like all of your other committees, you would bring that back to your council for ratification.
Councillor Burton.
So did you say there's 2 from the town, 2 from the county, and 2 from school?
So this agreement is the town and the school board. And then the county has one with the county and the school board.
What if they don't match?
So I'll get to that. So that's what we're working on, and we're trying to maintain that. It's a great point. Trust me, it is. It's been a point of much negotiation to date. for sure. And so what this is saying is that the town and the school board will meet. Now, do I think it's reasonable if all of us are in the room for the same meeting? Absolutely. I think that's actually what we should do. I just don't have the ability necessarily to put the county in our agreement with the school board, but I think it just makes sense. So then we have an operating committee, which is really administration. And then how we dealt with joint use space was essentially, for example, right now, and by the way, our agreement is with both Westwind and the Francophone School Board. So ours is with 2 school boards, which is unique to McGrath, Raymond, Sterling, Glenwood, Hillspring, the counties. But the counties now also includes the Francophone School Board, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. So they'll be included in the county's agreement as well. What we essentially said is the town and Westwind actually have a pre-existing agreement for the use of Lions Park, Baseball Diamonds, Redford Park, and different things. We have that delineated and those costs associated with that. So we're essentially saying just put that as a schedule. Let's not try and recreate the wheel here. Let's just make that a Schedule E agreement. And then anything that isn't captured in that agreement that we might need to share, then we'll deal with on a case-by-case basis, is essentially what we've said. And we're going to do this. When I met with Mr. DeLoof from the Franco suit on Friday, we talked about, depending on where things land with them, we'll develop an agreement just between us and have that as a schedule as well, which will essentially be the soccer field and playground is probably all that it would be. So one thing that there was administrative agreement to on, did we meet Thursday or Friday? I think we met Thursday. But obviously we all have to go back to our elected boards when we get to this point is, as you know, the town has the option when there's subdivisions to take land or take cash in lieu. And the cash in lieu is based on the value of it kind of pre-subdivision. And we take 10% of the total subdivision value. And everyone around the table agreed that that's pretty much, in almost all cases, what everyone does. So especially in the urbans, very few of us take land because you're having these really small subdivisions, so you're taking these tiny little postage stamp parcels.
They become a liability.
Yeah, they're just an issue. And so we all agreed that cash in lieu was really the way we were doing it. The MDs included, the counties included. And we agreed that of the 10% that we take cash in lieu, we would put in the agreement for your eventual approval that 3% of that would be allocated to school reserve. And that all of us within the Westwind, and in our case, Franco-Sud region, would all agree to that same amount. And that everyone would specifically allocate 3% to school reserve for the future. So all of us are saving for that eventual land acquisition or servicing costs that are going to be needed in 30, 40, 50 years.
Councillor Burton.
So unless history reverses dramatically, this is an occasion when the county will be contributing dramatically more cash than the town will.
Correct.
Because
More.
they just have so much more subdivision out there.
Yeah, we talked about that at length on Thursday, and Mr. Millward was excellent to, he sent us some things on Friday saying, here's the clauses I'm putting in mine. We should all make sure they're similar. What do you think of the wording? So we sent that back and forth. So to your point about them being the same, they're not going to be exact because the county has the Mountain View School, for example, in the county. And so they've got to have something there. We don't. But those points we were endeavoring to have identical. And depending on the outcome of their council's review of this as well, we'll see how that goes. But we were optimistic that we landed on a number that everyone would be contributing the same. I just need to reiterate too that we put some wording, and I want to read it. Let me just see if I can find it. Yes, okay, so this was a clause that there was some concern, and by the way, the Westwind has been excellent in these negotiations. There's been no issue there, but we wanted a clause that, and so in this one it's 11, if you're following along, I'll read it, but 11I. So what it says is the municipality shall use its ability under the Municipal Government Act to require reserve land to be dedicated as lands within the municipality are subdivided to provide school sites in accordance with the MDP or area structure plan. So we're saying we're going to take cash in lieu. And then it's saying the municipality shall not be obligated to acquire lands for school sites using any other resources at the municipality's disposal. The decision to commit the use of other resources at its disposal to acquire a school site shall be at the sole discretion of the municipality. Because what we didn't want is the proverbial gun to the head of the town saying, you must find us 15 acres and you must get it serviced and you have to use all funds at your discretion. And we're saying, no, we'll use all the school reserve funds at our discretion, no argument. And if the council today thinks that that's important for the community and wants to do more, they can. But you can't require it. And because that was ambiguous when JUPAS first started. That whole concept between the school boards and the towns wasn't terribly clear. And so we put this in to make sure that that was very clear. That, of course, you have an example in Raymond right now where for their high school, they're spending a considerable amount, but that supports their strategic planning. But it isn't required. They didn't have to. But because it's part of a number of things they want to do in the area, that made sense for them. Otherwise, we have the basic boilerplate dispute resolution, severability, all that stuff. Pretty boilerplate.
Councillor Burton has a question for you.
Okay.
Is that sort of the end of your presentation?
Yeah, and like I said, it gets into just some of the schedules, but we're still waiting for the school to get back to us on some of that information too.
So as you were talking, I was just thinking how this eventual agreement could impact entities that aren't necessarily at the table. So, for example, it may, if you look at with the school, so is, this part's a question, is there an opportunity to revisit the football field and other things down in Lions Park? So if there, as we have that reversion clause, are we better off or worse off if the school, for example, owned the football field or whatever? I'm not saying we should, I'm just saying these are things to just think about. Same with the EJ Wood lot up above. Mm-hmm. So would that naturally form part of, under the scope of this agreement, you know, just being right there? Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer, I'm just saying, would it? That's something that we could consider. And then if you look at another community member of the LDS Church, if the high school were moved, it would affect the location of the seminary building and the family history center. Those are both intentionally where they are for that reason. And then thirdly, the area structure plan. So right now we're looking at some of our area structure plans to see, we're going to at least start it this year. So from an ASP point of view, it may be advised when we look at this to at least just touch base with our planner and say, from an area structure point of view, what input do you have? And I know it's a little bit chicken and egg, because ideally we would have done what we're doing first. We could tell you, or you've done what you've done, so you could tell us. But there's going to be an intersection there going forward that we should have in our radar.
There's a clause, if I might, Mayor, there's a clause, Councillor, it came to mind here. Members, yeah, so this is under the operating committee terms of reference, but it would apply to the governance committee just as well with council. But under the operating committee terms of reference, we have members of the operating committee may bring to the meetings of the operating committee additional staff from the municipality or boards or resource personnel as necessary to provide assistance to the operating committee in carrying out their responsibilities in the agreement. So I think you've hit on precisely what those committees should be discussing annually. You know, I think there's merit in talking about, for example, if the high school wants to acquire green space, and some of you might remember, we actually have a drawing of outdoor phys ed facilities for the high school on the EJ Wood that Ken McMurray was pushing when he was principal, right?
I didn't know that. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Right, and so those are perfectly appropriate things that should be discussed at those annual required meetings now. So that's where we're at with this. I'm not bringing it to you for approval. I need to talk with my colleagues, particularly I'm waiting for comment back from the Francophone School Division. I'm expecting that by Friday. In our conversation, there wasn't any big issues. They thought this was going to work just fine for them, but I'll get formal comment from them on Friday. And then West Wind is very much on side with this. Again, administratively, I should say they're on side. It hasn't gone to the board. And then I'm working with Murray to ensure that we come out of this similar, particularly in the allocations for school reserve, which was our big concern.
I am really very grateful for all the work you've done. That is a 3-year project. Really has been a long, long time. And to see how far the county has come to try to sit at a table and try to negotiate terms that are similar all around. With the school board, I think it's kudos to you, Jeff, and to their council for being able to understand what we were trying to tell them, and to have them come to an agreement somewhere with the school board. So thank you so much for that work. It's been a painful, long journey.
It just had big gaps in between making progress because actually the province kicked it down the road a little bit. They've sent out some additional guidance along the way. So we are required to pass this by June 1st. The goal around the table when we met was March, to have everything finalized and ready to bring to our councils for approval. The school's been great so far to work with. They have to do 8 of these, right? And we have to do 1. And so I feel for the school because they've got to have them with every community in the jurisdiction, which is 2 counties and 6 urbans. And so,
But at least they'll have a nice template here.
well, I've been trying to facilitate that we're all using the same template, frankly, and then each of us will adjust the schedules based on our unique relationship and unique facilities. And so that's been the goal, and so I think we're getting there. I mean, it's not perfect for sure, and we're going to massage this as those committees meet and we have real life examples of things along the way. But I'm encouraged that we're getting close.
Yeah, I really think you have done a great job. Thank you so much. 60, we had delegation at the last CCW. So we had a presentation from STARS. There was no new requirement. We gave them, I think, $1.25 per resident. And so I think they are satisfied that that is an ongoing yearly.
Especially since we disproportionately
donation.
use it, apparently.
Yeah.
We're getting a good deal.
Yes. So that is great. There was then a delegation of Mrs. Deb Cahoon and from the library who presented a letter. That letter was received by council. There are things that are being worked on. I understand that there is a board meeting happening in February. I'm glad for that. And there is also some follow-up that will happen between administration and the board. Jeff, if I understand well, regarding the grant application for the studies that we would like done.
Yeah, that actually doesn't even come up until the fall, but I'll be bringing you terms of reference for the working committee probably next meeting, actually. Yeah, so
Okay.
we can get going on that.
So that will be
Yeah.
great. I know there are questions that will be coming.
Yeah, under your bylaw, just as a point of interest, under your bylaw, CCW creates the working ad hoc committees. So I'll be bringing that to the next meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. So there are committees and other report on the 7, the CAO report. Jeff, thank you for that report. Is there anything in particular you want to highlight? Or-
I'll just, if I might mention one thing.
Yeah.
A couple of meetings on the Emissions Reduction Alberta grant for the wastewater treatment plant. I had a really fascinating meeting on Friday with a gentleman named Aaron from Emissions Reductions Alberta, where he shared with us the feedback from the reviewers that got us through the first stage. So this is a 2-stage,
Yeah.
it's kind of a 2.5 stage. So we were informed we made it through the first stage. And then Aaron shared with us the feedback where we were strong, where the application was weak, and so that we can try and shore that up before the final adjudication. So what happens now is next Friday, we have to do a more full application that's due next Friday, end of day. And so I met with engineers this morning. Kim Welby and I have met twice already. We're meeting again on Wednesday to try and put more together to fill the gaps from the first review. I want to be really careful how I say this. I don't want this taken. I was really surprised how strong our application was to the reviewers. We weren't sure how this was going to fit, because what ERA is looking for is they're looking to commercialize technologies that reduce greenhouse emissions. The town of Cardston is not in a position to commercialize a technology. We're the recipient of the technology, but we're not in a position to commercialize it. So where it's interesting to them is the impact just in Cardston, if it can be scaled, will be huge across the province. And so our focus has to shift from what does it do for Cardston to what does it do over the next 20 years in communities that are potentially bigger than us, potentially more complex. And then we have to get the vendor on side to really pitch to ERA how they would roll out commercialization. Is where we're going to need to strengthen that. So what happens, just so you know, in case I didn't explain it well, is we found out in January, we made it through phase 1. We have till next Friday to finish the written portion of phase 2. February 26th, we present to the Board of Emissions Reduction Alberta, so I'll be doing most of the presentation, but we'll have the engineering firm and we will have the vendor all in the room. And we have precisely 20 minutes with 1-minute sections of Q&A, and we have to be very, very prepared for that. According to who we talked to, there's not a lot of tolerance for humming and hawing. And so we want to make sure we're very, very ready for that. So where one of the challenges has been right now is this isn't a technology that's being distributed in North America, or in Canada at least. And so we're trying to find the right person from the vendor that can come and represent the company on how this can be commercialized. But remembering we currently have non-disclosure agreements with the vendor that we're not even allowed to say who they are. And so we're working to undo some of that so that they can come speak.
They should have an incentive to be soft.
No, they are. They absolutely are. And so we're just working through that right now, because we'll literally likely be Zooming them in from the UK or Ireland is where they'd be coming in from. And so anyway, I'm encouraged and super nervous about this one, because there's just a lot riding on it. This would put us right where we want to be financially if this one comes through. This would really be over the top.
Hey, Councillor Kennelly wanted to say something?
This is not related. I'll talk after Councillor.
Okay, Councillor Granger.
Yes, Jeff, and this is the full-on $5 million grant, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. This is the key to our financial success on this. And
Yeah.
I've got high hopes. I think this is a winner. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, our job is to show ERA that this de-risks, it de-risks future users of the technology. So we've gone through a year. I mean, I think we're more than a year just trying to retool and figure out what the right technology is now. So we're getting all that work out of the way so that this can be readily adopted going forward at scale. So we have to show the de-risking here, and that's what we're working on.
Thank you so much, Jeff, for that update.
So just something of interest there.
It's good to hear. There are a few committee reports, sorry. The only question I have is maybe for you, Councillor Brown. It's regarding the power. I know you only had one meeting up to now, right?
That's right.
And so my question to you is, are you, with your group, intending to develop a governance model for that meeting? Because the reason I'm asking is to try to figure out who is in the lead, who is the president of the committee, who is sitting on a board, and especially when it comes to the money, who is administrating the money? Is there a cutoff date when the money is not there that we have to say we cannot have a power, which happened in the past council? We had to make that decision the money was not a bank because we didn't want to take the whole risk at the town. So I don't know if those are questions
Yep.
that you have
I
and
can answer.
for future meetings,
No,
maybe?
we talked about it. I can answer. So we did meet. I had no idea what the meeting was in regards to. I was just invited to a
Exactly.
meeting. We did talk about the previous governance model and
Right.
what the one that was in place.
Right.
We've agreed that we're using that one.
Okay.
And so they have a counselor, like I said,
Right.
that they were reaching out to. They hadn't asked him yet, but
Right.
they for sure have a counselor that will sit. We're going to do the 2 and 2. And anyway,
Right.
we're following that governance
Okay, good.
model. And as far as the money and all things, by following that governance model, it already had the checks and balances.
Right.
They had requested that we draw up a new one, but I had just said, with it being my final year on
Right.
council, with, I mean, who knows what the fall will bring. I just didn't, I think if they want a new one for the next council, let them do it. But for now, let's not waste the time drawing up a new one. Let's just do the one that we're already, why reinvent the wheel? We've got,
Right.
and they came with budgets and all things. So
Yeah, the budget was intriguing to me because when I look at it, it's 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 35,000. And I was thinking, if we're using a similar model of half for the town and half for the blood tribe congregated all together like us with the county, I was thinking us and the county comes to 12,500, and I was thinking, okay, so they're coming with a lot more money than
correct.
that. But then how do we justify that ourselves if we are on the level of matching?
So like I said in the notes, that was just, we were spitballing.
Yeah,
They
just
said
like
this
that.
is roughly what we have. And since then, Jeff notified me that we have, I only thought we had $5,000 in the account that's combined. We don't, we have 10.
Which surprised me. I asked him.
Right?
Also, I was thinking, where did that extra 5,000 come from?
Holla, but
Question.
it was just, so what I can
Just
tell you is,
curious.
that was a first meeting. They came incredibly prepared. I wasn't, because I didn't know what it was in regards
Right.
to.
Yeah.
But now we've already set up our next meeting. They're gonna have their counselor there. We will proceed just as following the guidelines previously. So come our next meeting, well, and I think it's brilliant too, that they actually, their very first request was, we want it in Cardston. We definitely want it in Cardston. So,
It's really a wonderful thing. There is one little thing that I would add in your list is the parking.
we've already, on top of that, that was in there, they're already on top of it. Yeah,
Because
again,
that's
this was,
another source
this
of
was just
revenue.
a loose discussion.
No, I
So-
kind of noticed.
But I
It was your
appreciated
first
They're,
meeting.
I appreciated,
Goodness.
yeah, like they're super,
Yeah,
they came with all the stuff and I was wowed, so.
yeah. Thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Mayor,
Yes.
could I bring up something just related to that? Just so we're, first of all, thank you for you doing a good job of your ever-expanding
Yeah.
portfolio in that one assignment, the never-ending. That's a big deal to put together a powwow. 2 points, so that, the $10,000, is that already been allocated to a 1 year? Or I just want to make sure what that,
So the
that
10,000.
was 5 that we had.
That's right. It's a grant.
Oh, it's a grant.
That was put in, so the county has half and the town of the Blood Tribe has half and the town of Cardston has half, roughly, is how it works.
So I guess my real question is, we've already budgeted for anything you'd be asking for?
No.
Possibly. We'll see. We'll see we'll see. We don't have that answer right now.
Okay. And then my second thing is, we had a meeting last night with the Ag Society, and they wanted me to relay that any way they can help with any powwow,
Oh, okay.
their arms are wide open.
Okay.
Just let them know what they can do to help.
Awesome. Thank you. I never even thought about that, so.
You know, like, they said there's such a correlation between that community and
Yeah.
the horses and all of that, that they said if we can, just let us know, we're happy to
Even
help.
I'll do that.
And Mayor, I have some other
Special.
items on, if you're doing the reports now.
Go ahead.
So, back to Ag Society. I can report that last night they signed the lease, and I shed a tear.
And blood.
And Jeff has them, so if we can sign our half tonight. Secondly, I went back decades of their policies and have consolidated and rewritten all of them.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
that was passed last night, so I shed a second tear for that.
Oh, wow.
Thirdly, Councillor Granger, I'm happy to report they have a well-functioning secretary who takes copious notes and distributes them, and that is in great working order.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's actually a bit of a paid position, and they're very serious about it, so I just wanted
Good.
to let you know. And then,
Thank
in the lease, it has two provisions that we just need to give a little bit of thought to. One is, Jeff, it schedules them to make a presentation, and part of their recording, you remember their reporting requirements, by
Yes.
the end of April. They have a high school rodeo second half of April, and they'd like very much to report on that when they're here, and so they're wondering if they could move that to May 6th from April, whatever the first. It was contemplated that they'd come during our committee meeting in April, and I think probably better in May.
Sure.
So,
You just moved to April 29th, which is at the dead end of the month, if that would work. But,
yeah, that might work,
yeah, so you now have a meeting on the 29th.
because otherwise I think I wouldn't have. So let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
So April 29th, but there's no objection to us if they come May 6th instead of April 30th, so, okay. And then, because they have now onerous reporting requirements, it takes the counselor off their board. And so, I don't know if we need to do anything to make that official on our end. So I'm going to stay on, they've asked me if I would stay on their policy committee, which I'm willing to do.
Okay.
That just as a citizen,
A citizen at large.
at large. Under their bylaws, they can have, or members, I don't know how their wording is, but anyway, I can be there just to help with their policy, but I'm no longer there officially under the terms of our lease, which is how we were there in the first place.
Yeah, right.
So the understanding is that I won't have an official capacity there, so do we need to just do a
You know
motion or
what?
something?
I need to get the MGA
Yeah,
properly.
and I'm not even saying tonight, I'm
understand.
just
I
bringing
just
that
need
issue
to
up.
understand. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth.
Yes, so I think what it will be, Counselor, is all your committees are schedules under the committee bylaw now. We just need to amend the
I
schedule.
think that's correct.
Yeah, so I'll look at that between now and next meeting.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's just an amendment to the members of the board on the schedule, but I'll check it.
I think that's what it is.
All right.
Yes, yes, that's right, because we do that at the org administration.
And again, putting things in schedules that are going to be changed more often is the smart way to do it. Then you're not in the meat and potatoes of the rest of it.
Okay. Well, Councillor Burton, I want to thank you for being able to bring that to a happy conclusion. I know Councillor Granger had done a lot of work with that society, and you finished the work that was started, so thank you so much. And what came out of it
And those policies, I should just say, Mayor,
is very...
it's now harmonized between their policies, our policies, and the lease. They now
Right.
harmonize, whereas before it was,
Right. And so thank you both for all that work that you did. It was a difficult period with the Ag Society, but I really think that with the new presidency they have, they came a long, long way to improve their own society, so that's wonderful. Thank you. All right, the next,
Bring up
Sorry,
on-
I got something.
sorry, go ahead, Councillor. Councillor Court want to talk first, so you'll come after, if you don't mind?
Just
Sure.
meeting with the Rural Development Network survey, they've done the completion of that. with Becky Doig and
Oh.
CAO.
Are you still talking about the Ag Society, Councillor, or something else? Councillor Granger?
Oh, no, something else.
Okay, all right, so carry on,
It'd just
Councillor.
be, really recommend that we look at that really well. There's all kinds of statistics of aging, et cetera, and affordable housing is a huge issue now, especially in Alberta. Becky's done quite a bit of work on this when he's focusing on the seniors. And we've got senior housing, but it's not affordable. And I was talking to a few people in town about that, and they said they really think the Cottonwood development it's private, right? But it's not really designed for seniors in town, for people coming out of town that sold their houses in Vancouver, Calgary. So I'm really hoping, Councillor Granger, that the United Church is going to go ahead with these apartments, these low, whatever they call those apartments that are rentals. There's no rentals around. And we really are, we could use another 2 villas in town, quite frankly. We're getting that population age. Our Chinook Foundation needs our lodge needs some serious work. They've been patching it together. Raymond's already looking at expanding their brand new one because they're so full and they got apartments going up there. So I don't know what we could do about it as a community. I don't think we can afford to build rentals and low-cost rentals as a community. But I think the province needs to start looking a lot harder at that. And this was a very good survey thing they put together. And it puts ages in there, tells you where we are population-wise, age of the population. So something that's down the road that we really need to start thinking about.
Yeah,
I have a question on that issue, if I
go
can,
ahead.
for Councillor Granger. So, in McGrath and Raymond, they both got the McGrath one down by the creek. And so who owns those? Like, who paid for those?
The
Grants, a
province
lot of
paid.
it. A lot of it would come from the
Provincial
provincial
or-
government.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking the new lodge here, we're talking $30 million probably.
Yeah, but
So,
you know,
in
when
both those cases, I understand, I don't know exactly how much the town of McGrath put into it or the town of Raymond put into it, but by a large part, it's gonna be the province. Basically, we own this one here.
the villas,
Yeah, because we have to take care of it. Maintenance and everything else is up to us. The villa is provincial, we just kind of run the villa. We don't do anything else except provide the administrative running of it. And whatever money we get, it goes right straight back to the province. We don't make any money off it. We don't lose any
I
money off
think
it.
demographically, it's an inevitability that we're going to need more space. I mean, there are people from our community going to Raymond and McGrath.
They
Yeah.
can't get in there anymore because they're all full.
And exactly, so then what? So,
Milk River. But if you're talking
Well,
Leecrest, which is Reuben
yeah,
Leecrest.
Milk River isn't really our community
know,
anymore,
I
right?
know.
Our community kind of ends at
But some people are
Raymond,
getting
if you
sent
will.
down there because there's no room anywhere else.
So if we're looking forward to that, is there anything that we in the county and our surrounding Glenwood, Hill Spring, et cetera, we should be looking from a budgeting point of view going
We are.
forward?
We are.
How?
We're trying to put aside things, looking at studies, looking for grants on different things.
No, I'm saying from,
It's going to be a political, for us to get a new lodge, it's going to be,
I agree with all of that. I'm just wondering if we in our budgets, if it would be prudent, and the county and those other hamlets and whatnot, if we'd be prudent in saying, look, even if it's grant matching or whatever, however those things are structured, like
Yeah.
they've done, would we be prudent to be budgeting for that? That's just a question.
There are so many different models that are really shown in that document for funding. There are some very I can't
actually just
remember
already
the,
just changed the designation of what the senior housing falls under. It's under a different, I don't know if it's under HS now or it was under something else. So it's the money aspect of things. And
Jeff, do you want to talk about
I just want to
that?
mention for
Because-
interest, Becky Doig is coming to present at CCW next week. And so I've asked her
should
to
be talking
come.
about this stuff then.
Her and I have met, and it was to your questions, Counselor. So
Yeah.
her and I met, and we were just talking about how are we looking down into the future for these
Right.
things, even just for simple land acquisition.
Yeah.
What in the world is that looking like? And so she says, she goes, I have my counselors and that's all great. She goes, I'd love to come have some discussion with your greater council. So she is on the agenda next meeting and would be great to talk about some of those precise things.
Yeah, It's an amazing document. I was a little perplexed about the demographic stats on a town, to tell you the truth, but anyway, that's something different
Okay, that's good.
for another day. All right, so do you
Councillor
want to
Granger
take Councillor Granger, go ahead.
Yeah, just quickly, two things, a question in a second, but to address Councillor Court's question about the United Churches project very quickly, we've enlarged the project from 8 units to 16 with the addition of the land from the hall. We've got to come back to council for rezoning of the land on the hall that's been subdivided out. As well, basically we're redesigning the project, so we've got to come back to Mr. Card and the town for that. And in a lot of ways, it's a new, bigger project, and so progress is going a little slower, dealing with the bureaucracy of the United Church of Canada over us, for example. You guys probably know what that's like. So progress is happening. It's slower than I would like, but it is happening, and I hope to see shovels in the ground by the spring. And the project is called St. Andrew's Place, is the official name of it.
Councillor Granger, before you go to your next point, can I comment on this point?
Please.
Sure.
So, they did expand it to 16, and the MPC has looked at what they're doing, and I hope council would consider the rezoning just ancillary to that. It's a great project. It's needed.
Yeah.
They've done everything right, and I think we would just give it the green stamp and away it
I
goes.
totally believe that's what should happen.
Absolutely.
And it is rentals, by the way. That hasn't changed either.
And it's terribly needed in this town.
Okay, so my quick question, and sorry if I can indulge me, go back to the sewage treatment plant, Jeff, for you, in your report. Can you give me the status of the potential tender for the project? There was no details of that, and I was curious how close we are to actually tendering this thing.
Yeah. Let me think here. I met with Adam and Andy this morning, by the way, and so I'm just trying to recall his little spreadsheet. He has his diagram there. So a couple things happening. First is we are procuring a couple of the super long lead time items now. You'll remember, Council, we passed a working line of credit on that facility because we were worried about that very thing. So we're just about to procure a couple of the items that they think are probably a year out. There is just a little, what did he tell me, Councillor? Dang it. End of February they expect, and you would know the term exactly, and it escapes me. Wait, I have notes right here. I don't have to guess. Hold on. My notes.
I could guess.
No, the notes for the meeting are right here, so I don't have to guess. So the middle to end of the month. Hold on here, I was in a completely different file. Okay. The geotechnical is complete. The 3D modeling is underway, so they're going to 3D model everything. First design review, end of February.
That's all they can tell us?
Well, we talked about a whole bunch of stuff, but I'm just giving you the broad strokes.
Because the last time you talked to us about it, one of the issues was how to tender this, rather than just a tender let low price wins. There was a concern about trying to find the right kind of contractors. So you were doing something a little different, similar to what I did way back when with Banff Refreshing. So I wondered how that was going, and then when can we expect to see a tender?
Sure. So
and if they're just still doing reviews of their design, I guess that concerns me a little bit, but I have to learn to be a patient man these days.
So a couple things. Thank you for that, Councillor. A couple things for that. So we were going to be doing the CMAR, Construction Manager at Risk. They have determined that they want to move secondary treatment outside of the building.
Yeah, we knew that.
So that is de-risking the project tremendously. And so we're not going to do CMAR anymore. We are going to pre-qualify contractors, which the documents are being put together right now for pre-qualification, and then they will do They will basically go back to design, bid, build amongst the pre-qualified contractors.
Are they gonna have everybody submit on, like all of the ones that are pre-qualified? Are they gonna choose one of the pre-qualified and negotiate a contract?
No,
Do you know?
there'll be a competitive bid amongst the screened, let's put it that way.
Right, okay, yeah, I
And
understand.
we have to do that to satisfy Alberta Transportation on the grant.
Right.
Yeah.
So when is that happening? That's the first step towards getting a contractor in place.
Yeah, I just know Adam said the pre-qualification documents are about ready to go.
Okay. Well, I guess all I would say is try and light a fire under these guys because, you know, as long as all
I think
these
those are
things
your
take-
standing orders, Councillor Ranger.
I know, but
All
I
right,
know how long
Councillor.
these things take. I mean, we need shovels in the ground by June if we're going to have a chance of getting this thing, you know,
Okay.
I need to go
Built.
downstairs, so I make a motion that we take a,
If I might, you have 4 pieces of correspondence and all your public stuff is done.
Guys,
I've been looking at that.
can we try to finish
And you don't probably
tonight?
need to talk about any of them,
You don't
but
mind?
they're there for you.
Yeah, so Mayor Blaine Higgin, it's all about trying to recruit professional
Doctors?
doctors and specialists, nurses and specialist doctors. The Old Man Watershed Council is a thank you for our contribution for the year. UFA is a donation letter of $600 for the food fund, and thank you to them. We could send them a thank you note. And a CUPW letter is regarding the post office, and we, in the past, never made any motion to reply
did anyone
to
notice it had
this
closed for a
or to
while?
get involved with it. All right, so that's about it. So now go
I
ahead with your
move,
motion.
what, 15? Okay, okay, recess for now. And off I
All in
go.
favor? Thank you. We will go in, for those, for the media, Mary, thank you. We go in confidential meeting
night, Mary.
afterwards.